Hey, hello, my YouTube friends. Very, very long time. I haven't seen you guys. How are you doing? I'm still alive, still managing everything here. Yeah, I apologize. How many months haven't been on live? Maybe more than a couple of months. That is a long, long time. I apologize it, and thank you very much for joining me. It's kind of unexpected, but actually took me almost 3 days to get this live organized because every stuff I had to do, the microphone, all these capture cards and stuff like that, I had to set it all up as I'm in Canada right now. Today we're going to talk about this this passport. Focus. If it doesn't hear it, so this is it's called the BNO passport, but actually that isn't a British passport. Um, this passport costs like almost three times as much as regular Hong Kong SAR passport. So it's called a special administration uh, region passport. During those times, hey, hello, Jess. How are you doing? He's the Jess is my administrator. He always take cares of my channel, helps me out, and big shout out for my friend Jess. He's hey, hello, Louis the plumber. How you doing? Nice to see you live. Yeah, so I'm so happy to see you guys, man. And today, Canada, Vancouver, it's snowing because there's a Arctic wind coming. Yeah, and the weather's gonna like go down to minus. I think 30, not minus, but maybe the 28 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. It's going to be cold. Thank you. Yeah. So I'll just so greetings to all my friends. And before I start my video, actually, I give my condolences to my cousin Henry. He actually watches my YouTube channel at home, so that's pretty awesome. But his mom passed away, and actually I got along with her mother really well. And we used to joke around when I was a kid. When I visited Vancouver, she's a good driver, drives us around with my cousin, and we have these nasty jokes, and she was in the nasty jokes, and like other parents would be really strict, but for her, we're just really casual, really feel happy with her, and always has a great sense of humor. Yeah, so my condolences to my auntie, and she was 89 years old, and yeah, that was, and I hope she can go to, she'll be in heaven with all the rest of our families, and it's a better place for her. So yeah, I miss her. I will miss her greatly too. That's the thing is when you get older in life, you experience a lot of stuff, and this is one of the things: losing people around you, close family, friends. It's a really sad thing in life. So yeah, my condolences again to my cousins and their family. Okay, so let's start up with this BNO passport, British National Passport. So this passport actually it's pretty for us, for Hong Kong people. Actually, this passport, they issued this right after 1990s, before 1997, and there was a cutoff date. Okay, so before 1997, the people were in Hong Kong, you can apply for them. So after you were born after 1997, you cannot apply for one of the passports. So the reason, thank you, Sabar Hussein, appreciate it. Um, yeah, so people were born after 1997 weren't eligible to get this BNO passport, uh, British National Overseas Passport. So people were born before 1997 could apply for this passport, but it's going to be, really expensive to apply for one. And just recently, the Chinese government has they don't recognize this passport anymore. So um, when if we left Hong Kong with this British national passport, and what you know, it's been confusing. So I can't use this passport to go back to Hong Kong, obviously, because Hong Kong, is part of China, and they are denying this passport even for identification, which sucks. Yeah, so that has been quite an issue, and we've been finding out, oh well, how are we going to go back and stuff like that. Um, and another thing is, if we have this passport, by the way, that passport isn't mine. Okay, I don't have this problem, but the reason this passport is causing issues for people, because um, when you get a visa, for example, you get visas to travel to other countries, and if you got an American visa, and usually goes for 10 years. So for that 10 years, you can, it's the pages is stuck on your visa, on your passport. So you have to use this passport to go to the States. And it lasts for 10 years. So what happens now, if our family member goes down to the States, I don't know, would they still even recognize this passport, because China doesn't recognize this passport, and how can we transfer this to another passport, right? That is yeah, you need a spare passport, yes. So nowadays you have to transfer your visa. So for example, if you were an American citizen, you had to go to the States, and you have this visa on your passport. You have to transfer the whole thing, and you have to make appointment. And now with the COVID and everything, it's gonna be hell, going in. Yeah. So this passport, it's just it's a visa issue. It's a visa issue that it's really causing great convenience. Even though when we went to renew the American passport in the Hong Kong consulate, they were, the prices were just regular price. You pay, for extra, the express mail fee and stuff like that. But the deal is, there's a security surcharge, and that security surcharge was really expensive. It's like almost $100 US for the security surcharge, because they hired all these securities around the area, even across the street of the American, the American consulate. So it was really, really heavy security. Happy New Year, Mr. Ju. Yeah, thank you. So that was a big problem, and that's, you're gonna pay that $100 security fee if you transfer your visas. Plus, you're gonna make an appointment, and it's gonna be inconvenient. And one of our family members didn't bring their Hong Kong passport. That's the SAR. They call it the SAR passport. So I don't know. It's gonna be a questions and all that. And plus, I'm not being biased or political, at all. But this passport, is actually pretty useless. Okay. I'm not saying, I'm not being on which side or anything like that, because if you have this passport, it's by the British government, and during these 22 years that the handover, you still didn't have the right to stay in UK. So if you had this passport, it is a British passport and everything, with all the crown and the royalty. If you go there with this passport, you couldn't stay there. It's just, I think, only 6 months. You can only stay there, and you must go. So it's pretty useless, and you can't migrate there. You can't get a job. You're not allowed, employment or anything. So this was the thing that really, didn't. That was, this really sucks. So now, for Hong Kongers, I think when the British came out with this passport, they think, oh yeah, maybe Hong Kong will become independent, because basically on the treaty that they did 150 years ago, I think, or 200 years ago, that Hong Kong Island and Kowloon was given to the British. And actually, it wasn't leased at all. The only leased area was new territories. Okay, so there are main three areas. In Hong Kong Island is the main island. Okay, so the British really developed that area in all the banking, the financial hubs, the prime real estate. Everything's on Hong Kong Island. So if you live in Hong Kong, the real estate will be more, obviously. The electric bill, your gas bill, everything will be higher, okay, because it's Hong Kong Island. It's supposed to be like, because it's the CBD, it's a central, area of Hong Kong. So the British, during the early days, it thought, okay, that belonged to them forever, and even the Kowloon. So if you guys ever travel to Hong Kong, past Kowloon, there's a boundary street. It still exists now. So that boundary street actually is the boundary drawn out, that after that boundary, it was supposed to be back to the mainland Chinese, mainland China. It revert back. But of course, the Brits want to have Hong Kong and Kowloon, but the deal, it didn't really work out because Hong Kong and Kowloon depended on China because of the water, mainly the water and electricity now. So if China shuts down the water supply, Hong Kong and Kowloon will be in big trouble, because there won't be any space they won't facilitate any like saltwater conversion to fresh water. All these things will be pretty much, undoable, which is, sad. So, when they made all these treaty before 1997, before the handover, the British decided, okay, we're going to just hand the whole thing to Hong Kong and let revert back to China, mainland China, which was originally mainland China. But it was different. It worked, one country, two systems, and a lot of people are doubting, are they honoring this thing and all that? Yeah. So everybody was, before that, everybody was lining up. So how desperate were the people before 1997? Everybody was lining up, like for hours and hours just to get this BNO passport, British National Overseas Passport. But the thing is, after the after the handover, 1997, this passport actually doesn't do much. And Hong Kong already had a SAR passport. But in reality, why do I say this passport was pretty much useless is, even when you go to UK with a SAR passport, you can go there visa free and you don't need to fill any forms or anything, and they'll give you automatically 6 months. But if you use this BNO passport, you have to fill up forms just like a regular visitors, everything like that. So that was really funny, for me to find out about this information. And obviously, now the reason this passport has become invalid is because, all the politics is going around, and the British said, okay, you guys, whoever has this BNO, you can stay in the UK, get a job, be a student, whatever, and within, you have to stay there for at least 5 years before you can get a resident and become a British citizen. So that's going to take a while, and you're going to pay a lot of taxes and everything. That's how the system works, obviously, if you want to be a UK resident. And the thing is, even people say, oh yeah, there's one more thing. It was really good using this, the BNO passport was really good, is because you can go to Europe. And when you go to Europe, they'll just browse your page and just let you go, because it's part of the the EU. But nowadays, the British decided they wanted to leave the EU. So it's a different story now, right? And even if you travel down to the States, if you go to the States with this passport, the customs officers would think this is a British passport, and they'll let you go. But actually, you have to remind them this is a BNO passport, and the BNO passport requires a visa to go to USA and fill up all these forms, right? But if it's a British passport, you don't. There's visa free. You don't need a visa to go to the States. So that's a major difference. That's why sometimes when you go to the States and they don't stamp that passport, and when you go back to Canada and they don't find that stamp, and they probably think, oh, are you overstaying? And it'll be just a nightmare. So you have to, when you go to the States, you must say, oh well, can I get a stamp on the passport? Because if you don't get this stamp, it's going to be so these are the stamps. Here, focus. See, these are the American. When you go to the Americans, you got to get this. The States, you got to have this stamp. So if you don't come back, if you come back to Canada or whatever, they'll say, well, did you leave USA or whatever? They'll just give you a hard time. So it's better off. This is actually not a British passport. You got to stamp it. I have a visa for this passport. Blah 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 blah. So that's how it works. But it's just, for me, it was kind of weird that they issued you a BNO passport, but you had no right to stay in the UK. So that's kind of sad. But now, a lot of people has lost hope for Hong Kong in a way, because of the laws and everything like that. And some people are happy because of this law. Some people are really sad, and some people are terrified. And you see a lot of arrests now on the TV, politicians, the Democratic Party being arrested. A lot of people, getting in trouble because of this security law. But for me, actually, when I was in Hong Kong during that protest period, I actually didn't really feel safe because, I did a video on there. They were throwing bricks, blocking roads and everything like that, and clogging up traffic. And we know the cause, right? I know the cause. I know what they want and stuff like that. But they still have to have consideration for the general public. I'm not saying that I'm for this or that. Okay, I'm just, as a regular citizen living in Hong Kong, it's just been really inconvenient. Like subway, the subway system in Hong Kong, they will try to stop it and all that, and the road, they'll block all the roads. Kids can't go to school, and if you say anything, if you take a picture of those group, you'll be beaten up, and you see a lot of violence, and which is, protesting for me is, everybody has a right to protest and for that. But when violence is introduced, it's really sad. And these protesters, I've been up close with them, and the frontline people, those guys are really big guys. They are like 6 foot tall above and really heavy built, and those guys came to destruct Hong Kong, and which was really sad. So anyways, I'm just talking about, let's go back to the British national passport. So I heard, since they're denying all these, the BNO passport, you go back to Hong Kong. When you get on the plane now, I think from the States or UK or whatever, you have to use your Hong Kong identification card. So it's a Hong Kong ID. So you use that instead of a passport if you leave Hong Kong with a BNO, because now they don't recognize that. So I think the valid ID, if you have a valid Hong Kong ID, you can use that. So that is one of the the things. And even a Hong Kong SAR passport, you can travel to a lot more places visa free than a BNO passport, and it costs a third less. So the BNO passport actually wasn't just for the Chinese; they were for the minorities too. But before the handover, the Chinese said, you Hong Kong people, only the Chinese with roots from China will be recognized. So other people, they won't be recognized. So there's a now Nepalese, there are Filipino, there are Indian people, Pakistan people. There's a wide, Africans, South African people that has a Hong Kong ID. So they have the right. They are Hong Kongers, put it this way. They have a permanent residence in Hong Kong. So at first, China said, "Well, we won't issue them any identification, official from China or from Hong Kong." So there was a panic going on too, and yeah, so that was really, really, before '97, that was a big issue, and these guys will be like nationless, right? So what happened? They worked out a deal. They can all the civil servants in Hong Kong before 1997 could apply for a British. You can change from a Hong Kong ID card, and they'll give you a British passport directly. So this scheme would work. So I think it worked for a lot of people who were in high levels of government. And actually, my dad was a civil servant, and he was offered a British passport, but he declined, because he loved North America, so he preferred to stay in North America and Hong Kong both at the same time. So that was one of the big deal, the reason we don't have the British passport. So I hope you guys can understand, Hong Kong, everybody's scrambling to get another passport because they didn't really trust what was going to happen. They don't know the future and all that. But nowadays, you see all the media and everything. It's just, a lot of people that I know are leaving Hong Kong, which is sad. And I'm not even in Hong Kong. But you asked me a question, am I going back to Hong Kong? Yes, I am, because I really like Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a, great opportunity for me for business and all that, and all my friends and stuff like that. So Hong Kong will always be my home. I will never leave Hong Kong. And the real estate, I can tell you for sure in Vancouver here has been crazy. So you might think, oh, the COVID and all that, but now the apartments are selling like hotcakes, and the prices are kind of rising too, because a lot of people from Hong Kong actually has Canadian citizenship, but they decide to go back to Hong Kong before, but now they decided, oh, well, we're going to come back to Canada. But before that, after 1997, a lot of people from Hong Kong came back. So when they got the passport, there's few types of people. There are the guys that always go back to Hong Kong and leave the family in Canada or the States. They're called astronauts, okay? So astronauts, what would they do? They will sell their house. That's after 1997, they'll sell their house in Hong Kong and buy a house here in North America. And then from time to time, the dad would come to visit the family. So to make sure they're okay, everything's good. And when everything's, all settled, the father would just travel, maybe once every 3 months or something like that. So these are called astronauts. Or you would see people, the whole family moving over here to start a new life. So these people are just called, immigrants that will immigrate here to North America and won't take Hong Kong as a permanent resident anyway. So, and there are the other types that when they came here before 1997 because they were really uncertain about the future of Hong Kong. So they came to North America to get their, citizenship. So when they got their passports, I think the early 2000s, when they got their citizenships, they would sell the house in North America. No, that's maybe 2000, year 2000, around that or before. They would sell their house and move back to Hong Kong. And lots of people, when they sold their houses during that period, they just left the house. They didn't make any money from the house. The property wasn't that good before that. So they would go back to Hong Kong and buy another apartment or something like that. or they'll be exhausted on funds, so they had to rent a house. So there's a lot of people that move back from overseas back to Hong Kong, and there I know the figure is around 300,000 people that actually move back to Hong Kong to settle in after they got a foreign passport. They just get this passport just because they're not sure about their future. Until nowadays, this has been really, Hong Kong has just been going up and down, and there's just so much drama, politically. And for me, I don't know, I just don't. I'm really sad actually to see, Hong Kong like this. Doesn't everybody wants a peaceful place. Everybody wants, peace and quiet, but somehow it's just crazy. And you guys check out my previous video on this COVID lockdown. It's crazy. It's a surprise lockdown. So if you live in these high rises, suddenly you see these cops and cop cars. They run with these banners and just locked up area and all that, and they'll ban you from leaving that area. So everybody had to go for a COVID test. And suddenly, if you're a restaurant owner, they wouldn't care who you are or whatever. You had to be locked in your restaurant for at least 24 hours before you get this COVID test. And I said to you guys previously, mainly it's because of the sewer system in Hong Kong, the early buildings that didn't have U pipes or whatever. So if somebody took a dump on the bottom floor or whatever, or anywhere, the virus will just travel up to the whole apartment and go into the bathroom. And why viruses travel up? Because in Hong Kong, usually people use gas heaters, okay? And they're the old type of gas heaters. You have to open the window and then you have to turn on the fan. So when you turn on the fan and when you use this gas for hot water, the pipes, the virus or whatever, bad odor would come up and the virus will, infect you. So that is one of the bad things. Well, these, it's just happening as I'm speaking, so this is really sad. And I feel, the Chinese government, my personal feeling towards Hong Kong now is the Chinese government is pretty upset about all these protests. And why I can feel that I feel that the Chinese government is kind of discriminating against Hong Kong. Why do I say that? I have, that's what I think. That's my personal opinion, okay? Because if for me, I don't want to stay here too long. I have stuff to do in Hong Kong, right? I've been going to like DHL, Federal Express, nonstop, a lot of paperwork and stuff like that. I have to sign all the time, and it's just so inconvenient, right? I can do a Zoom meeting, but something like if you have to do for your tax returns or forms and all that, you have to send it back and you have to do all these paperwork, which is, you have to continue if you're doing business in Hong Kong, right? You can't stop. And in Hong Kong now, if I go back, I have to quarantine in a hotel, I have to eat their food, I have to stay at the government appointed hotel. So this will cost me at least $5,000-6,000 US, because I have to stay, at least $6,000, for a mediocre hotel. And it's going to cost me 21 days in the room, myself locked up, which is really bad. And if I quarantine, for example, hot air travels up. Yeah, so the virus is really, so that is continuing in Hong Kong. So you would see, if you see the news in Hong Kong, $6,000 is already low, okay? Some people, if you want to stay in like a Mandarin hotel, the group, it will cost you like 100,000 US if you get, a 5-star treatment, right? Of course. So that's crazy. And even if, why I'm talking about China is kind of discriminating against Hong Kong is because if you're in Hong Kong, you don't get to travel freely. Okay, so what that means is if I go from Hong Kong, just pop over across the border, after quarantine for another 21 days. Okay. If I was going to travel from Hong Kong to Macau, I can't even travel. They don't even allow that, not even quarantine. Okay. But if I, if I was here now and I travel to mainland China, I can quarantine a hotel for 21 days. Okay. And then you'll get this WeChat. Okay. So China, everything is WeChat. Okay. And I'm really careful what I say on WeChat because you might get in trouble. So WeChat is like, this is the app you must, if you exist in China, this app exists on you. So this, it'll give you a green light or whatever. So if you do the COVID test, do your quarantine for 21 days, I have this thing that proving that I don't have COVID, and I can go to Macau anytime. I can just go from mainland China, go across the border. I don't need to quarantine. I can go back to China. China, I can go to parts of China, take a plane freely. Okay, but now I think some cities are under lockdown. But the cities aren't under lockdown. You can use this WeChat QR code to go there. Even if you have this code, you can go to Hong Kong without quarantining if you have this code. So you guys get what I mean? So if you land in China and do your quarantine in mainland China, you are a lot freer because you can just travel around these areas, which is really close together. But if you land in Hong Kong, you're pretty much stuck in Hong Kong, unless 21 days here, 21 days there, 21 day, so this is just, yeah, this is ridiculous. So even for me now, I usually travel Cathay Pacific straight to Hong Kong. So now I'm thinking, oh gee, the hotel's going to be a bitch. Excuse my language, because it's going to cost me an arm and a leg. And then I'll do all these COVID tests. So if I go to mainland China, I can just do this quarantine at a lot lower price. I think the government hotels they appoint is only like $70 a night, something like that. And I do that for 21 days, so it's a lot cheaper. Plus, even I can do get things done in mainland China. I can go to Macau, go back to China, and then I can just go back to Hong Kong without quarantining. So isn't that a lot bigger advantage? But and then I'm planning to go, thinking about flying here directly to Guangzhou. So Guangzhou are quarantine. So that's a Guangdong province. So I can quarantine there. And even if I have apartment in Shenzhen, I can quarantine 14 days and then say that I have a place to live in Shenzhen, and then I can tell them, and somebody would take you to your home to let you quarantine for the rest of the 17 days. Okay, but that's nothing. You can't do that in Hong Kong. You can do that in China. So I feel, I kind of feel that, Hong Kong is kind of stepping, the government is stepping back a little bit because and the figures are pretty low for the COVID too. Hong Kong, I think now they have like 40 something cases a day, and it's getting lower and lower by the day. And some fitness center, tennis or basketball, golf, they're opening up now, but the restaurants still closed after six. I mean, closed in a way you can't dine in. You can only take out. So I think, as for Hong Kong, they're doing really good on quarantining the safety, and this surprise quarantine lockdown. I don't know, does it really help Hong Kongers, but people, whoever's under that area, they can't go to work, they can't do anything, they can't even even working in a restaurant, you have to stay there overnight, which is gonna be a pain in the butt, right? So that's all I have to pretty much say about this BNO passport. So I don't know, would they, if you go to the States, would they still honor this passport internationally, or it's just not valid in mainland China? But for me personally, this passport has been really expensive. I'm not being biased, guys. Please don't say that, I'm pro whatever side, but, you know, I know the price is 3 times as much. You don't get, there are a lot more, a lot less visa free countries you can travel on this passport. And even before that, you can't even stay in UK, for longer periods of time. So this thing was really bad. Anyway, so this so even in Canada, they are implementing this hotel quarantine thing, for 3 days, and I heard it's gonna cost like, you know, $3,000 or $2,000, and I don't know about that, guys. This is gonna be expensive, and yeah, can you guys give me a like, please? I really appreciate if you guys give me a like. Yeah, so and thank you, Jesse. So this is pretty much, I wanted to cover today on my live video, because talking about this BNO is kind of, I mean, I'm not political. I've never been political, but it's affecting our family member. So so I have to talk about it, because there's panic going on when they said on the news that, you can't use, it's not valid. You can't even use it for ID in Hong Kong anymore. So it's basically, just a notebook. It's changed to a very expensive notebook. Yeah. So, and Hong Kong, under the new scheme of the BNO passport to UK, they say the maximum amount of people that can go to UK, if they wanted to, will be 3 million. So 3 million Hong Kong citizens can go and stay in UK. So Hong Kong will, a lot of Hong Kong local people will be gone, and which is going to be sad. And a lot of people uh, are going to UK for a new job opportunity, and, because Hong Kong is a very, very competitive city, just like New York City. Hong Kong has the most expensive real estate in the world, surpassed New York a long time ago. So in Hong Kong, you just have to have the edge to survive in Hong Kong. Unlike in North America, as long as you have a job, you work, you do your, have your duty, pay your taxes, you survive, you won't live in poverty, right? But in Hong Kong, you have to be really sharp to survive in Hong Kong. So for the people who are like, they prefer, always wanted to, go to another country or whatever for immigration, because immigration, it costs a lot of money to immigrate, but now it's an opportunity for them. So even now, yeah, Hong Kong real estate is crazy. And even now, if you use this BNO passport to migrate to the UK, you have to go to the office UK embassy. No, no, actually, let's talk about a little bit about the visas you get. So nowadays, when you get visas, I think except the American consulate, other countries like Canada, I think Australia, UK, they have offices that don't belong to the embassy. Okay, so it's like a contracted out. So now every day you would see people lining up in the embassy to get a visa to UK. So once you have this you need an immigration visa or something like a migration. How do you say this? Immigration visa to tell the UK government that you're gonna intend to go there to get a job and work, settle down there. You have to get a visa on your British passport to go there. And after you get this visa, you have, I think, 3 months time to move from Hong Kong to UK. So that is one of the things you must, get. So nowadays, this contracted visa place is lining. You have big lines every day. People are leaving Hong Kong. And another thing is, the Chinese government is threatening people with dual citizenship. So I think, I don't know what's going on. I hope they won't do this, but if you have dual citizenship, they'll cancel your Hong Kong citizenship, or cancel Chinese citizenship or something like that. So if you won't be a resident in Hong Kong anymore, you'll be just like a tourist when you go there. So that is, in China, it has happened to some of my friends. So when they got an American passport, they'll cut up their Chinese ID card, cut up their identification, all the Chinese logo. So when you come back to China for a visit, they'll treat you like a tourist. So you'll be lining the long line for a passport. So it's really inconvenient to go to China. And if you have an American passport, it's like $150 for the visa just to get in there once. Okay, so but if you have a Hong Kong or travel permit or something like that, they'll just have a face recognition and a fingerprint. It'll take you like less than a minute to go across the border, right? So these are the disadvantages going to China, right? And a lot of friends, they've been updating me, and I love all my friends from mainland China. They are awesome people. They have a really good heart, and the culture, from the mainlanders to Hong Kong people are different. I think uh, in China they have more of a relaxed life. They enjoy life a lot. They know how to enjoy life a lot better than in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a really crazy city. Everything's happening. You can go to so many places, do so many things in one day that you're just totally exhausted. But in China, they just take it easy. I can say it's pretty comparable to North American life. And they know how to enjoy. They go out for a picnic or go down for a hike or something like that. Yeah, it's true, Jesse. So if you guys, if a mainlander decides to get a foreign passport, all their citizenship of China will be all denied, and it's just going to be such a pain, just to get in. So anyway, this is the B&O situation. It's happening right now in Hong Kong, and the ambush lockdown. And I didn't really want to do much on my last video. I didn't really want to talk about that anal swab thing, but they think anal swabbing is 100% accurate. So, a lot more accurate than the regular one, saliva, the saliva test or something like that. And even Hong Kong government, they said the saliva test wasn't that accurate anyways. So nowadays they're even dealing with, is this being accurate? Is this really accurate or not? So sometimes, I don't know, like these blocks of lockdown, if they found out one guy who has COVID, I think tens of thousands of people will be locked down because of this one guy. So these 10,000 people will be COVID tested right on the spot. That's how serious the Hong Kong government, is getting about this COVID thing. They really want to get rid of it, and I hope they'll get rid of it for the rest of the world, because it's just crazy. Yeah, Jess, you're an amazing guy, and all these medical terms I don't even understand. I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah, so I hope you guys are enjoying my stream. Always like to talk to you, but I just, I had a hard time setting up everything, and plus my auntie just passed, and it's really sad too. So on Thursday, it's going to be like New Year's Eve for the year of the ox, Chinese New Year. So after, we celebrate, like have a family dinner. So it's like before Chinese New Year on Thursday, that night is like Thanksgiving dinner. So all the family gathers together, and on Friday is Chinese New Year, guys. So it will change to the year of the ox. And I wish everybody in advance a very happy New Year. Mainly is to have good health, happiness, happy families, happy girlfriend, boyfriends, and make more money. Come, win the lottery or something, and buy me a beer. Yeah, that's what I hope, guys. And again, my Patreons, you guys have been so supportive, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Grant Artix. Yeah, so thank you for all your likes, guys. Thank you, Jess, and thank you all my subscribers on my channel. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe on my channel. I wish I can have a little bit more subscribers every day. Plus, it's not that I'm lazy or not paying attention, but it's just so much crap has been happening. As I said, there's some serious family business uh, that's going on, and I haven't had it. And I want to talk about it during at my Patreon. It's kind of really personal, but I'll do these in a few days. Do that vlog, and it's involved the police. It's involved mental hospital, emergency hospital, and it's a family member, and it's just causing hell for everyone. And I'm the oldest of the family, and this is all on my plate, obviously. So it's easy for family to blame me, and I'm really sick of trying to explain everything, So this is see all these dramas been happening right now for me, so this isn't fun. But yeah, I'll keep you guys up to date. And again, thank you very much for my patrons for supporting. Thank you very much, my subscribers, for giving me likes and watching my boring videos. So I'm going to sign off now. And yeah, happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Ox. Okay. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you guys later. Bye bye, guys.